Get cool stuff for what you were going to do anyway. Drink beer. With Buy Beer, Get Gear from Labatt, you can just snap a photo of your receipt and upload it to the website to rack up points for exclusive merch. Get points for every purchase, whether you're grabbing a pint on draft, a case for a party, or a tall boy at the stadium. Any size, any product, anywhere you buy Labatt. Buy beer, get gear. Sign up now at rewards.labattusa.com.
And radio. Tomorrow's broadcasting stars today. Broadcasting live from the campus of Syracuse University. This is Newhouse Afternoon.
Welcome into Newhouse Afternoon. Geralba alongside Milo Hoffman with you here on ESPN Syracuse for the next hour up until 4. Milo, it's a rainy day, a little dreary outside, but the news flowing here in the 315. Syracuse men's basketball, a couple of coaching hires. Adrian Autry gets the hire over at Virginia in an assistant role. Lots of women basketball talk as well. Of course, both lacrosse teams always in the news this time of year. Football even making an appearance. So really there's so much to talk about on the Hill. But first and foremost, my good sir, I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
I'm doing well too. Drew, it's another rainy day here at Syracuse. You thought the weather was going to bump up to 60s consistently in the 70s and maybe even the 80s, but no, we're right back down to the 40s and rainy. But it's okay when you got this much happening in the sports world here on the Hill. Obviously, you talked about the men's lacrosse team, the women's lacrosse team also in action this coming weekend against Duke men's lacrosse up against number 2 North Carolina. But first, let's start with the basketball news. And first off was the first news of the day, really, was that Autry, head coach Adrian Autry, formerly with Syracuse, is being hired as an assistant at Virginia. Yeah. And I think that all things considered...
Are you surprised by it?
No, I'm not surprised by it at all. And so... The reason I'm not surprised by it is because
Autry was a great assistant coach.
He's a great assistant coach. Obviously, worked under Jim Boeheim's staff for 12 years. And he also worked at Virginia Tech for about 3 years in a couple of different roles with Ryan Odom, who's the head coach of Virginia right now. And so there's obviously a connection there. And I'm not surprised. Adrian Autry's a bona fide, he's a bona fide guy. He's an established
recruiter.
Really good recruiter.
He just was never the face of Syracuse when Adrian Autry was here. It was always kind of a lackadaisical type of vibe, but what he brought is the players always loved Adrian Autry for the most part. He would consistently recruit top-end talent out of high school. And what Adrian Autry did for Syracuse under Jim Boeheim was he was kind of that yang to Boeheim's yin, the yin and the yang, where Autry would kind of provide that, maybe comforting isn't the right word, but he would be more of the player development. Players can talk to him one-on-one. That was always kind of Autry's bread and butter. It doesn't work as much when you're in charge of deciding how many minutes guys get on the court and who we're going to bring in, who we're going to say goodbye to, those types of big decisions. But when it comes to getting down, talking basketball one-on-one, Autry was always really good at that. So it's no surprise he's going to go over to Virginia, and I'm sure he's going to do a great job.
Yeah, and with Ryan Odom, who's an excellent head coach, he spent time all over the country at VCU, at Utah State, he is a guy who's experienced, and so because Ryan Odom is hiring Adrian Autry, you almost have to give that move a lot of respect, right? Well, Ryan Odom knows what he's talking about, and he's taking in head coach, Adrian Autry. So now I think it's like, all right, yes, of course, not surprised at all. I think it's going to be a good fit. Virginia's an established program. They did well this year, even though the tournament didn't necessarily go to plan for the Cavaliers. They're a really good squad, and who knows? Maybe head coach, or I keep saying head coach. Maybe Autry is gonna.
You gotta get used to it.
I know, you gotta get used to it. Maybe he'll make a return to the Dome this next year. We don't know if any of that's confirmed or anything of that nature, but that would be a scene if Autry's walking through those doors again as an opposing assistant coach here at the Dome. Well, I would want to see it.
Oh yeah, I would love to see it. We'll have to see what happens there.
Obviously, Syracuse played at Virginia this season, so however you may take that.
You're the saying when one door closes, a window opens.
A window opens.
Yeah.
I thought it was another, like when one door closes, another one opens. I don't know about a window.
No, a window.
Why a window?
Because that's the saying that I'm rolling with.
Really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's also a saying. We can
When one door closes, another window opens.
when a door closes, a window opens. Something like that.
How does that make sense though? Like
Because
it's
there's
just a
always a
saying?
different exit, different
but
entrance.
the window's smaller. Does that mean like the opportunity is smaller?
I mean,
that
you just have
going
to
into?
look at the positives. Look at the
Okay.
maybe not the most obvious. Look it up.
When one
Look it up.
door closes,
A window-
another one opens. Comes up right away. When one door closes, another one opens.
Okay.
That's the saying.
Maybe, but is there a window in any of these sayings?
One door closes, a window
Regardless,
opens.
a door, a window, a garage.
I see it. It comes up.
It comes up.
Not the primary search.
All
but-
right, that's fine. I'll take the secondary search. Well, this is not a secondary move at all. Syracuse basketball, yes, Adrian Autry, obviously, he's off to, maybe not greener pastures, but other pastures over at Virginia. And Syracuse's new head coach, you kept talking about Adrian Autry being the head coach. Well, Syracuse does have their guy, Jerry McNamara, and he now has his guys hiring VCU assistant coach Ryan Daly and Penn State associate head coach Jamal Brunt.
Not sure if the Penn State one is confirmed.
A couple hours ago. According to a few different sources, I think both moves aren't technically confirmed yet.
Daly was, maybe.
But both of those, getting reported by Syracuse.com, Daily Orange, etc. So pretty much pen to paper there. With that being said, these are a couple of high-profile guys. Penn State had a rough season this past year, finished last in the Big Ten, but still, you're poaching a guy from a Penn State team that, over the past decade or so has made March Madness a few separate times. And then, of course, Ryan Daly, VCU, right?
Yeah.
What they did this past season, making March Madness, and Daly
Winning
a
a
huge
game.
part of a huge part of that operation. So you get him, and now Daly gets a chance to shine in a power conference in Syracuse. So
and he's
starting
also
to
a
round
very
out
young
here.
guy,
Mhm.
very young, under 30 years old. Daly is, and he spent time at UAlbany, at Bryant. He was a player. It's funny, doing some research on Daly. He went undrafted in the 2021 NBA draft. Like that's recent. That's like a couple of years ago it seems, or at this point it's 5 years ago. But he's a guy who's young. He's someone that has been known as this up and coming sort of coach, and he helped VCU make a little run in March Madness this year. So it's exciting stuff, and he's someone that's trying to grow into his role, trying to keep expanding to bigger programs, and he's done just that throughout his career so far. It's been almost like a stopgap sort of career. Like he goes one place, he graduates to the next. Now
Just
he's going to one
28
place,
years old,
graduates to
too.
the next. Yeah, exactly. That's what I just said.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very it's a really good, exciting move. Syracuse is trying to change the culture, get
Sure.
some new people in. I know Jerry McNamara is part of the quote-unquote family, and he's a Syracuse lifer, but
You can adopt people into the family.
right, you can adopt people into the family, and you should be doing that. And so GMAC is starting to bring his guys in, and hopefully he creates this new sort of culture that people can latch on to. That's exactly what you want.
Again, still reportedly, it was the Field of 68's Jeff Goodman, the first to report Daly, and of course the Penn State Jamal Brunt move, first reported by the Center Daily Times' John Sauber. So that will still be confirmed, I'm sure, in the coming days, maybe even today. But that seems to be pretty much putting pen to paper in all but the official reports from Syracuse itself. So, Jerry McNamara got his guys.
Yeah.
And I saw GMAC earlier today.
You did?
Yeah, got a chance to go to media ops for not basketball because we're not in that time yet. But we'll talk some more lacrosse down the line. Gary Gate, talking to him, and GMAC was walking right by, and he was on the phone, and he was kind of just tromping by with a couple of people I didn't recognize, and who knows, maybe he was on the phone with Ryan Daly
a lot was
or Jamal
happening.
Brunt. I know.
Yeah, no,
a lot.
that
And
very
at this
well-
point, I didn't know it was happening.
Right.
So it literally was. I was there a couple hours ago, and the news broke
Yeah.
a couple hours ago. GMAC, by the way, I always knew he was an undersized guard. I mean, he's about my height.
Yeah.
Like, he's
not,
really
not a big guy. He's someone, he's always been sort of the smaller guy.
He's got that heart.
But he's got the heart. He's got the grit. And he's got to bring that to the team moving forward. A couple more news for Syracuse basketball. Exhibition game against Niagara was scheduled in Buffalo. So as you trying to start to schedule some exhibition games to start the season.
Syracuse also played an exhibition game this year in Buffalo.
They played in Buffalo against Buffalo.
Right.
So this time it's against Niagara, a different team up here in New York. But it's exciting to see this news coming through. It feels like everything's happening so fast for Syracuse men's basketball. Like, you hire Brian Blair,
quickly.
Jerry
no time
McNamara comes, right? And now you keep them coming. You're right. If they are waiting, that's a serious issue.
And if the first domino was Adrian Autry fired, the second domino was GMAC hired, and if the dominoes past GMAC hiring doesn't start to fall, you start to question what's happening, because in order for getting players from the transfer portal, first you need the coaches to recruit those players. In order to win games, you need the players. So the dominoes have to start falling for Syracuse to win next season, not in 5 seasons. And you're starting to see the first few dominoes fall for Syracuse.
Okay, so you think that winning next season is
the possibility? For sure.
Is a possibility. Yeah, I mean, what are the expectations then, though?
Well, why does everything have to take so long?
Take so long for what?
Why does there have to be this is a new era of college basketball.
I understand, but what are your expectations for next season for Syracuse?
I don't know who the players are.
At this moment,
I don't know who the players are.
You can still make a prediction not knowing who the players are.
How?
Because
the players play on the court.
I understand, but you can predict how well Syracuse is going to do in the offseason.
All I
with the
can
transfer
predict
portal,
is
and then
I think Jerry McNamara will do a good job, and I think this is his first swing at things as far as being in charge of a major program that isn't Siena. We'll have to see how he maneuvers the transfer portal. I think he'll do a good job. I don't know who he'll get. I can't look into my crystal ball and just say...
Well, that's exactly what I'm asking you to do.
I can't do that.
Why not?
Because I'm not ready to put my stake in the ground for the Jerry McNamara 2026-27 Orange right now.
Yeah.
When I don't know who's going to be playing on the court.
Okay, so what if I tweak the question?
I think the ceiling is you make March Madness and win a couple games, and the floor is you're a bottom 3 to 5 team in the ACC.
So every possibility,
pretty much, because I don't know who's playing.
Okay, so let me tweak it.
What did Ryan Odom do this year?
He did really well
at Virginia.
Yeah,
first year.
Yeah, I understand, and
that happens. That happened with Will Wade, and NC State.
I think it's possible,
and they didn't get there. So you kind of see both sides of the coin. I don't know what is going to happen this year.
So how well do you think Syracuse is going to do in the transfer portal then? I think that Syracuse, with Jerry McNamara, has the ability to bring in some guys, that are going to be impact guys.
I hope.
Possibly with connections to Jerry McNamara and things of that sort. You have to do well in the transfer portal. I think that Syracuse, with the changes, with bringing in Daly as an assistant coach who's coming from VCU, with the new look team, hopefully that attracts a lot of people to the school.
I hope. I do. And NIL means a lot.
Because the transfer portal's it.
Yeah.
This is it. If Syracuse doesn't go out into the transfer portal.
And McNamara went out and said, quote, I want to be immediately relevant. And immediate means, not in 3 years. He means next season. So
yeah,
he obviously has the expectation, as he should, that this is not a rebuild. This is a win now, because that is the situation that Syracuse basketball should be in every single season. But there has to be some realism in the fact that right now there's other factors that Jerry McNamara can't completely control. And NIL is part of that, where Syracuse is located in central New York.
Yeah, but that's not an issue.
That is an issue.
How come it hasn't been an issue for Syracuse throughout the last 20 years?
I love central New York. I think this is a great place to live. I think a lot of the outside, perception on Syracuse in central New York is I'd rather go play in Miami. I'd rather go play in South California. I'd rather go play in those warmer climates where it doesn't snow 3 months during the
Right, but then how come weather hasn't changed from now to since 2003?
And the transfer portal is different. from now since 2003, and the way college basketball operates is different from now to 2003. There's factors that I'm not saying it's a main factor. I'm saying it is a contributing factor.
Yeah, I agree. The times have changed, and sure, maybe people in the transfer portal have, decided that, okay, I'm now getting paid a lot of money. Like, I want to go someplace warm and something like that. But, like, in terms of recruiting, in terms of bringing in, top high school guys, that's not any different. And that's a lot of what, feeds into these teams. Like, you look
it is different. Even the high school game, you're getting NIL money. As a junior, you're getting offered NIL money to play college basketball.
I understand, but
that didn't happen.
I don't think that affects.
How does that not affect?
That doesn't affect people not coming here because of the weather.
I'm saying there's many factors. Some majority include things like who's the coach for the team.
Yeah, that's way more important than
what
the
is the reputation of the team. How much NIL money does the team have? How good was the team last season? How does the team develop?
Yep.
And there's a small slice that the team is located in central New York. Where is that? Where is Syracuse? I've heard it snows a bunch. I'm going to go to Miami.
No. People don't say where is Syracuse.
So you don't think so?
People don't say where is Syracuse. If you were a high school player,
No.
You do. You know where Syracuse is.
There are plenty of people in this country where if you said,
you were a high school player trying to get recruited to play college basketball, you know where Syracuse is.
Yeah, I mean you can do a Google search, obviously.
No, it's one of the winningest programs.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean it doesn't mean anything.
No, I think it does. I don't think everyone knows where.
Everybody knows Syracuse.
Yeah.
Everybody knows Syracuse, obviously. No duh.
And that's what you just said isn't true.
No, I said
Yes.
everybody does not know where Syracuse is located on a map. 100%.
I think if you know Syracuse,
100%.
you know it's snowy. You know,
yeah, exactly. You know it's snowy, and you know Syracuse is historically good at basketball. If you ask a random player in California, where just by the numbers, a lot of high-profile players.
You know it's in New York. You know it's in New York.
And you are a local from New York, so I think that's clouding your view on the country a little bit. People on the West Coast do not always know where Syracuse is.
I think most people know that Syracuse is in New York.
Yeah, sure.
I think that,
but it's not.
People
it's
know
not.
that New York is cold and snowy.
Yeah, exactly.
So
that doesn't help.
That's my point.
I'm saying there are on the pie chart of. I am a high school recruit, or I am a junior in college trying to make as much money as I can before my senior season because I'm not going to the NBA. Where do I pick a college to go to? There are a multitude of factors, and the biggest portion of that pie chart is NIL. Right after that
so you're going now you're backtracking.
I'm not. I'm saying I've always said a small piece of the pie is where is Syracuse, and is it sunny? Is it snowy? Is there anything to do? I don't know what it is.
Enough talk about whether Syracuse is sunny or snowy. Like, I think the bottom line is that if you're a high school recruit trying to get recruited, then you know where Syracuse is. That's the bottom line.
I would love for you to talk to the top 100 players in California and ask,
where is Syracuse?
No. The first question is what is Syracuse known for? And they will all say Syracuse has historically had a great basketball.
Yeah.
And Jim Boeheim in the 2-3 zone and the 0-3 championship and Carmelo Anthony. They'll say all those things. And the next question, if you ask them, here's a pin. Put the pin where you think Syracuse is in the USA.
Yeah, and they'll put it in New York.
I think about one of two people in California in those top 100 players will get that right.
And I disagree. And the worst part about it is that we don't know. So.
And you keep asking me if I know what Jerry McNamara is going to do before we know a single player that's going to be on the team.
Well, that has nothing to do with what we were. What?
I'm just saying we don't know what we don't know. And right now, Jerry McNamara, the first dominoes are starting to fall, but the domino right after that is who is going to be on the court.
Yeah, and that's why I tweaked the question to say, how is he going to do in the transfer portal?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I have no idea because Jerry McNamara, what he showed me at Siena is that he can make a winning culture and he can, with very little NIL money, right? Yep. And he said in his introductory press conference when he was asked about NIL, he was asked, how big is what are you expecting out of the NIL pool for Syracuse? He said, well, regardless of what it is, it's going to be a lot more than it is at Siena.
Yeah. To be fair, Siena's competition way less.
Sure, but
you play Duke in March Madness, you
March
lose
Madness
by a little bit, but you have to build consistent. Like Adrian Autry beat number 6 North Carolina in 2023. They didn't make the tournament. You can beat good teams, but you have to be consistent over the course of regular
Syracuse
season.
beat Tennessee.
Beat Tennessee, nowhere to be seen after that.
All right, Syracuse basketball. There's a lot of question marks, not a lot of answers other than potentially the answer, Jerry McNamara. And Syracuse women's basketball, talk about answers. We got a few. Uche Izoje returns. A few separate players do not. We will talk about that, plus lacrosse news, all that and more here on Newhouse Afternoon, right after this break. We got a whole show.
Yeah.
It's Cam. Cam. I think you're totally wrong about that.
About what?
People knowing where Syracuse is. If you just ask them.
People know Syracuse is in New York.
I don't. That's not even enough, though.
Yes, it is.
If they put it on New York City, that is wrong. That's wrong.
No.
If you say where's Syracuse and they put it on New York City,
I think a lot of people wouldn't be able to tell
that
where
would be
New York
incorrect.
City is.
What?
Yeah.
It's just it's the southernmost point of New York. It's pretty much.
I think that there's a chance that a lot of people don't know exactly where New York City is.
You just see where the island is, and that's.
Okay, I still think some people wouldn't know where it is.
Most people know where New York City. If you think people don't know where New York City is, they have no shot at Syracuse.
Well, no, that goes into my argument. It goes into the fact that if you put it in a general spot in New York, I think that still counts.
Why would it count for someone to say where is Syracuse and they put on New York City?
Because it's cold in New York City too, and it snows too.
But if a college basketball player thinks that Syracuse is in New York City, it is the expectations completely change for what there is to do.
They know it's not in New York City.
Exponentially less in New York City.
Syracuse is not in New York City.
I really don't think. If you ask where
people think New York City is,
no. If you say where is Syracuse University, where's Syracuse University?
Yep.
I think some people would think
they'll put it in New York. They'll put it in the middle of New York State.
And what if they put it on New York City? You don't think anyone will think it's in New York City?
No. Even if they put it on New York City accidentally, they know Syracuse University is not in a city.
People
in New York City.
I think people don't know it's in New York as much as you think.
You think people think Syracuse is in New York City?
I think some people do.
No.
For sure.
Not the top basketball recruits who we're talking about. Maybe a random Joe Schmo.
What do you mean the top basketball recruits? They're playing basketball. They're not...
Okay, and they're a little bit knowledgeable of the best programs that are out there in the country that they could possibly play with.
Yeah.
More than the average person.
They know of Syracuse's pedigree. They don't... I don't think all of them know where Syracuse is on a map.
I think that they know Syracuse.
No, I think you're giving them way too much credit.
City.
I think, and you're a New York resident, so I think it's different.
They know Syracuse is definitely not in New York City.
I think some people would.
No.
For sure.
No.
Yes.
Not even. There's no one knows. No one thinks Syracuse is in New York City. People think St. John's is in New York City, which is true.
I honestly, Milo, I think you would be surprised at how illiterate some people are with the U.S. map.
Sure, but I still think that if you were to ask them, no map involved, is Syracuse in New York City? They would say no.
You would say, is Syracuse in New York? And they would be like, that sounds right.
They would say yes.
Yeah, I think that's probably in New York. And then you'd ask them where in New York, and they'd be like, near New York City? I think a lot of them would say that.
Yeah, and it's
not New York City. It is
near. You just said near New York City.
Syracuse is as close to Philly as it is to New York City.
That is so wrong.
What? Syracuse? Okay, I'll look it up. Syracuse.
Maybe
to Philly drive time. Here we go.
Yeah, you're right.
Thank you.
I was thinking of another place.
4 hours flat to Philly. I think it's actually longer to New York City. It might be the exact same time. It's 4 hours and 6 minutes to New York City.
Yeah.
So
so Syracuse is near New York City. It's 4 hours, of course.
Well, then Syracuse is just as close to Toronto. Syracuse is close to Philly. Syracuse is.
But no one would say Syracuse,
an hour longer to. If you want to go to.
No one would say Syracuse is in Toronto.
What? Yeah, because Toronto's in Canada.
Okay, and no one would say Syracuse is in wherever. 4 hours away.
If you just pull up this map, this ginormous U.S. map, and ask someone in California where is Syracuse, they would not all get it right. I think like 2/3 would probably guess New York.
I mean,
because
sure.
you
Also,
live
it's only
here.
California. I understand.
Q Sports Talk shows on QSportsTalk.com. Tomorrow's broadcasting stars today. Broadcasting live from the campus of Syracuse University. This is Newhouse Afternoon.
Back here on Newhouse Afternoon, I'm Milo Hoffman with Drew Alba here Thursday, April 2nd, a day after April Fools. I wish we were on April Fools. That would have been fun.
We could have done something.
Yeah, I know. We could have done something, but too bad. It's April 2nd. We've got about 35 more minutes with you. We just wrapped up a conversation on Syracuse men's basketball. And
Literally
actually
just
wrapped up. The conversation did not end when we went off the air just then. Fully carried over into the break. And honestly, the argument almost heated up during the break a little bit, arguing about whether or not recruits in California would know where Syracuse is located. And yeah, I mean, listen, it's I don't want to beat a dead horse like that. I think we've taken that argument to its full extreme, and we've taken it as far as it can go, because the bottom line is that before we do a interview, a survey, and we question all the recruits in California, we will not know the answer. But if you're interested, I don't know, let us know on X or social media whether you think that Syracuse would be known to high school basketball recruits in California. I think it's an interesting question. You know, do those people know across the country where this gorgeous, beautiful place is located? But who knows? What I do know is that Syracuse men's basketball has made a couple moves earlier today, and obviously not necessarily Syracuse men's basketball making the move, but head coach Adrian Autry is off to Virginia. He's going to be the assistant coach with the Cavaliers under Ryan Odom. Another team on the hill that's making moves is Syracuse women's basketball. And last week, Uche Zoje, ACC
Which is the most
Rookie of
important
Year.
one.
Most important one. I mean, she is the face of the team. She is staying with Syracuse for at least one more year. You know, obviously a player of Uche Zoje's caliber probably has, you know, hopes of playing in the WNBA at one point, or playing at a professional level, whoever that may be. I was just about to say, already checked off that professional level in Japan, but what a story she was this season. I mean, unbelievable stuff. One of the best centers in the nation. She'll be back with Syracuse women's basketball next season. Now, a couple of people who won't be back for Syracuse, and I'll start with, I don't know, I'd say the people who played less, and then I'll get to the player who played the most.
Okay.
Justice Fitzgerald.
Saving the end for last.
Yeah, Justice Fitzgerald.
Who Coach Jack said one of the most natural rebounders she's ever coached. So
Right.
It's unfortunate you couldn't kind of squeeze the juice out of the Justice Fitzgerald train.
Yeah, and she
a little longer.
She was injured in spurts throughout the season.
Yeah.
She
has that like electric red dyed hair.
You know, she brought energy when she was on the court,
But
but
she still had a couple of years to play, so you know that one hurts a little bit. But
to the transfer portal she goes. Another player to the transfer portal is Maddie Potts.
Never really worked.
Australian. Never really. Although this year she played more minutes. She actually started in the NCAA tournament games. Very odd. And of
But then
course, if
Schmidt
Dominic
played
Darius is playing, then she doesn't start.
Schmidt
it
quickly came in.
You're right. It was kind of like you start, see how it's going. Maybe she knocks down a few threes. If it's working, you keep her in. If it's not, get her out of there. And that's kind of what happened.
She was 1 for 7 from the field against Iowa State and UConn.
Yeah. So not ideal for Maddie Potts. She is hitting the transfer portal. And then the big news from Syracuse is that fellow Australian like Maddie Potts, Sophie
losing
Burrows,
that pipeline,
is in the portal. And this one hurts. You know, this one really does hurt. She was.
It's surprising.
Yeah, it is surprising. You know, I was talking to Sophie Burrows after the NCAA tournament game against UConn when the season was over, and she was talking about, you know, obviously this is nothing can tell you what's going to happen in the future, but you know, she's explaining how she's super grateful for her time at Syracuse, and she thinks that she grew a whole lot from her freshman year to her junior year. You know, talked highly of Coach Felicia Leggett-Jack and people that were on the coaching staff, and just her experience overall, the players that she got to play with, like Izoje and Darius and Felia. It did kind of catch me off guard because she was the captain, kind of. Like,
right.
I know Darius was a captain and Felia, but she was the longest tenured player on the team.
Yeah, Burrow's the common link between the last couple of seasons and this year. And when Syracuse had that really bad year with Georgia Woolley at the helm, the season after, of course, Deja Fair and Syracuse went to the tournament, lost to UConn. You know, head coach Jack went up to Sophie and told her, like, you're the player that I need. I need you to step up this next season. I need you to come back and rebuild this thing with me. And Sophie took that head on, came back as captain, and struggled at the start of the season. Didn't average double-digit points until mid-January. But as the season progressed and as the competition grew more fierce, Sophie Burrows only continued to rise to the moment. Started it in all but one game this season. The only one she didn't get to was against Florida State. Still played 34 minutes that contest. So Sophie Burrows has been so instrumental, not just this season, but the last few years for Syracuse. It kind of felt like one of head coach Felicia Leggett-Jack's, you know, quote unquote guys that that you can go back and kind of lean on when you really need.
Yep.
And this is a surprise because I don't know if Sophie Burrows, like, where's the greener pastures here, you know?
Yeah, she's someone that probably will.
I feel like Syracuse is a good fit for Sophie.
I could see her sticking in the ACC. You know, with some teams.
But she's not going to go
no, but like maybe like an NC State,
right,
like for Sophie Burrows, or a team like that, like a Miami.
But like with Uche, I could understand if she'd entered the transfer portal and joined UConn or South Carolina.
Right.
Like, I'd be like, okay, that makes sense. Like, yes, you're probably not going to stick at Syracuse if South Carolina wants you.
No.
But Sophie Burrows isn't going to get recruited by those top end talents, and Syracuse is a really good women's program. So
she's going to go she's going to go with a team. My prediction that is similar to Syracuse. Mm-hmm. It has to be. I mean, there's factors that we just don't know.
It makes me think, like, is there? From a Syracuse side, did Syracuse
and also transferring
and Sophie Burrows not align on something? Yeah. I don't know, because
transferring for your senior year is also always a little,
it's
it's
strange.
a little interesting.
It is strange.
And like there are situations like Layla Felia, but she was injured at Texas, and she had a situation like that. Dominique Darius in her grad season, she redshirted last year, so like that's an odd situation. Sophie Burrows is hitting the portal and just trying to finish out strong at another team. I do think it's a valid point. Like, where is Sophie Burrows going to go that will be a better situation than Syracuse? But like you said, and like we've been talking about the entire show, there's the coaching situation. There's everything that goes into it. Maybe Sophie Burrows wants to go to a warm place like Miami, not here in Syracuse. Do you think if you asked the California player where Miami is, they would be able to tell you?
Yes.
Good.
This is southernmost part of Florida.
What about NC State?
Like, no. Like, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and I think Syracuse is more known than NC State.
Okay, I don't even know how many players could put Chapel Hill on a map. So,
okay, but people
that's
know North Carolina. That's unfair because it's the state.
I don't know how many people could put North Carolina on a map. I just think it's more of a me looking at the U.S. is you brought it back up.
Yeah, you're right.
You brought it back up, and you thought I wasn't going to go back at it.
I was kind of bringing it up as like a funny thing.
But you jabbed.
I jabbed, but then I pump fake the next one.
Okay,
well now you're swinging back at me.
I'll swing it back.
Okay.
And then I said something, and then you were like, "Well, NC State." So you kind of kept the conversation. I'll move on. I'll be the bigger person.
Enough analyzing the
biggest problem that head coach Jack has to figure out now. You got to fill, obviously, Sophie Burrows, but Dominique Darius and Layla Felia And now all of a sudden 3 of your 5 starters are gone.
Yeah.
So yes, you get Uche Izoje back. Yes, that is the most important piece of the puzzle for this Syracuse team, undoubtedly. One of the best players in the ACC, one of the best players for my money in the entire country, returns. That is the first step. But
and
now,
who knows what's going to happen with Layla Philia, by the way, a senior. She could possibly come back for a grad season.
yeah, I'm not sure where those eligibility lie right now.
Yeah.
I know Darius is done.
Yeah, Darius is definitely.
And that's always going to be tough because Dominic Darius brought so much more than just scoring for Syracuse. One of the best defenders in the entire conference. Everyone loved Dominic Darius. Could dish the rock when she wasn't scoring. So that
leader.
Leader. Leader, I think, is the perfect word. So that's going to be tough. How does Coach Jack navigate this portal now?
And it sucks. It sucks because this season was so exciting for Syracuse, and you make the tournament, you win against Iowa State, and the state of college basketball is that, like, there are no longer program players.
Mm-hmm.
There are team players. You play for a team, and then you switch to play for another team. You don't play for a program. Jerry McNamara played for a program. He committed to Syracuse, and he played for Syracuse all of his time in college. He played for the program. He committed when he came here. I'm going to play with one team. But now players are playing with like teams, and you don't know where you're going to be next year.
Yeah.
And that's the state. So it's hard to build momentum when you're in a situation like Syracuse. A team like UConn is already established. Gino Auriemma is going to be good for forever. But Syracuse is trying to get to that level, and you can't when you're trying to build momentum and the players that you do it with are then gone. And Sophie Burrows is one of those players, and she's now gone.
Totally agree.
All right, up against another break here on Newhouse Afternoon. I'm Milo Hoffman with Geralba. About 25 more minutes to go, and we've got a whole lot more to talk about. Men's lacrosse, women's lacrosse, both in action this season in North Carolina. One against Duke, one against UNC. We'll be right back here on 97.7.
This is Orange.
Perfect.
All right.
What
are you laughing about, Weather Boy?
Nothing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Wait, what was the post? Jeez, Tiger Woods is just falling apart.
T Woods. Good old T Woods. It's, man. It makes me feel for him. Watch out on the audio there, pal.
Why?
Don't get copyrighted on Twitch. Just joking.
Jeez. You're just like struggling.
Yeah, what a mistake. I feel bad for him, but like not really. I don't know. It's tough.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's tough.
Like how do you just?
Who do you think's won the Masters?
Um.
Isn't that crazy? It's not this weekend, but the weekend after. We're a week away from the Masters.
Yeah, wow, that is crazy.
1 week.
Definitely not Tiger Woods.
Ah, ha, ha, ha.
And I was looking forward to seeing him possibly play. Give me Tommy Fleetwood.
Tommy Fleet.
Yeah, I always like watching him.
His son. Trying to get past the pond this year.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? His 6-year-old son had that really funny interview last year at the Masters, where he's trying to pass the famous pond on par 3, and he's interviewing him. He's like,
yeah, I do remember.
I'm trying really hard.
Right,
I'm trying my hardest, but I just I can't do it.
Who else is it?
I'm remembering for him.
Scotty Scheffler, obviously, always a threat.
I'm trying my hardest.
Xander Schauffele. Phil Mickelson. Tommy Fleetwood. What about Rory McIlroy? Does he do it again?
Yeah.
McIlroy.
It's once now McIlroy won, it's there's not as much in the game for me.
Yeah.
Because it was always will he win? And now oh, you've won. So
April 6th. It's April 9th through the... Yeah, it's sick.
What?
The Masters. Love the Masters. I don't really sit down and watch golf ever, but the Masters I do pay attention.
I watch it for the majors.
Perfect. What do you say? 20.
ESPN 97.7 and 100.1. Watch live on QSportsTalk.com. Tomorrow's broadcasting stars today. Broadcasting live from the campus of Syracuse University. This is Newhouse Afternoon.
Welcome back into Q Sports Talk. I'm Drew Alba alongside Milo Hoffman. Not a whole lot of time, 19 minutes to talk some ball. We were just talking some hoops for a good while, both the men's and the women's teams. They're not even playing basketball, though, right now, Milo.
Yeah.
Obviously, you do got the Final Four on both sides, but Syracuse isn't there, at least for this year. You know where Syracuse could be in the Final Four? A different sport, lacrosse. Both the men's and the women's team having themselves a season right now. Women's team, I believe it's 10 straight victories. Syracuse, on the other hand, the number 2 team RPI-wise in the nation, going up against number 1 RPI, North Carolina. This weekend, ACC clash in Chapel Hill. And UNC came to Syracuse last year and kind of blew the doors off the Orange. This season, Syracuse, maybe their best chance to take down UNC here in a couple of years now. I don't know. We'll have to see what happens.
It's going to be a very, very tough game. This is arguably the toughest game of the season, right now to this point.
At least so far,
you played number 1 Maryland, but that's not
And now it turns out Maryland's
not very good.
Isn't a whole lot of anything.
Right. So, technically it's not the hardest game on paper, but this is going to be the toughest game so far, for Syracuse, and it's going to be won or lost, in my opinion, at the face-off X, because you're going against Brady Wambach, who's the best face-off man in the country, wins over 70% of face-offs,
that is
which
ridiculous.
Not only is the best, it's almost 10% better than the next person.
And John Mullins had himself, by all respects, kind of a mediocre year.
He's 28th in the nation in face-off percentage.
Right, and he came into it as a bona fide top 10 type of guy.
Right, yeah.
So, not saying that Mullins going to struggle in this one. Very well, he could go out there and go over 50%.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that, but at this point in the year, Mullins hovering right around 50%, right over it. So, yeah, and Wambach is almost, above 70. So
it's unbelievable. And listening to Gary Gate today, you were there, but listening to what he had to say, he's like, listen, he's so good, you almost have to go in with a plan B. Like, you have to, like...
Do we have to win a different way?
Right. You have to... Like, yeah, you have to... Like, John Mullen's going to go out there. He's going to give him a shot to start the game. And if it's not going Mullen's way, then Syracuse is going to have to pivot. And
Pivot to what?
You're going to have... I don't necessarily know.
I mean, Drew Angelo's got a better shot?
So Gary Gate mentioned, scooping up ground balls and maybe actually going for, like, a different strategy for the face-off. So, like...
maybe you don't win it on the first try.
Right. I'm assuming that there is, and obviously didn't play lacrosse, so I don't have that experience playing, but I'm assuming there are a couple different strategies when taking a face-off. And so, you try to win it and you scoop it up clean, or you can almost sacrifice, not scooping it up clean off of the face-off X, but possibly, jamming it free and almost putting a 50-50 ball out there and trying to pick up a ground ball with other players that are possibly around the area. Like, that might be a strategy for Syracuse. So almost say, all right, we're not going to win any face-offs point blank. So we're going to almost shatter what's happening and make it, all right, this is going to be a 50-50 situation every time.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that happening. I could also just see Wambach going out there and just dominating.
Yeah.
And Syracuse can go out, and you don't have to win the face-off battle to win the game. Like, it's nice.
Really helps.
It really helps. But there are other factors to it. It's what you do with possessions rather than how many possessions you get.
Yeah, and North Carolina's really good at that too.
Yeah, and North Carolina's a really good team.
I mean, the number 2 team.
There's a reason why. Right.
But yeah, if you look...
If Syracuse wants to go where it wants to go, which is a national championship, like, the expectation should be to win this game. And that's the vibe in the building, and that's what Gary Gate was saying. And Syracuse, I think, has a coin flip chance to win this one with North Carolina. Like this is a tight contest. Because you know what UNC is saying right now? We're talking about Brady Wambach. They're talking about Joey Spallina. And they're talking about how do we stop Spallina and Michael Leo. And they also have John Mullen. And they have Jimmy McCool's now towards on watch list type of guy. And they got Billy Dwan, one of the best defenders in the nation. Peyton Anderson's now scored in 4 straight. Like, they're looking at all of that, and they're saying, how do we compete with Syracuse's depth?
Yeah, but North Carolina also has those players that aren't Brady Wambach as well. I mean, Owen Duffy, Dominic Petramala.
Elite.
Like, these are people that are nearing 40 points on the season. Yeah. It's going to be a
But my point is Syracuse, and we all know this here, but UNC knows Syracuse has those guys, and Syracuse knows UNC has those bona fide stars as well.
And this is exactly what you want.
This is what you want, right? So, yes, you can point to whatever you want in whatever regard you want, but at the end of the day, these are 2 talented teams, and all right, let's take off the gloves, let's go to work, and let's see who wants it more.
And that's exactly
And it's at UNC,
happen.
So we'll see if that plays a factor.
Joey Spallina on watch list for becoming the all-time points leader.
I think we're officially in watch list territory.
I mean, 7 points to break it, 6 to tie with Mikey Powell. Like, it would take an effort from Joey Spallina, especially against North Carolina. If this was Colgate that Syracuse is playing next, I think you almost put it that Joey Spallina breaks it. Like that's the favored pick.
Sure, yeah.
But because it's North Carolina,
definitely not the favorite pick.
Not the favorite pick. I think right now you're looking at it Virginia. Mm-hmm. A Virginia game. But listen, Joey Spallina has those games where he does go silent. So
against good teams, especially.
Yeah. So, against like Harvard, Joey Spallina really struggled. There were the games against Princeton.
He didn't have a point.
Yeah, against Princeton, he also kind of struggled. Like,
kind of. Very much so.
He struggled. So this could be another game. Obviously, you don't hope for that, but when Joey Spallina does have a hard time against North Carolina, because he's going to be at the top of their scouting report.
I still think the best chance he breaks it is against Virginia.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's averaging 3.5 points a game, so... I think it happens against Virginia.
Yeah, but he is on watch list territory.
He's definitely on watch list. Like, if he picks up an assist, a couple assists or goals in the first quarter, then you're like, all right, what are we doing here, Joey?
And then after that, the last thing to our watch list for is, how far can this team go? Then the individual stats start to not matter as much. Where right now, I think the talk of the town is the Joey Spallina points record.
And personally, I think it would be cool to break it against Virginia in the Dome.
Sure.
Like, of course, Joey Spallina's gonna try and have a great game against.
How about breaking the record for like a game winner against North Carolina?
That would be pretty. That'd be pretty great.
I mean, that would be awesome.
Not gonna say no to that.
No, not at all. Syracuse right now against North Carolina, 1-0 in the ACC after a big win against Duke. The women's team will quickly hit on it. Win over Cornell, 10 straight for the women's side. This is a Syracuse team that after starting 0-3, I mean, 180 would be an understatement.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can go past 180, but then all of a sudden you're going back towards your previous direction, so I don't really know what you want to do there.
It's unbelievable. I mean, you play the top 3 teams in the country for your first 3 games of the season, and now it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool that like Syracuse is in the top 3. It's like we're there now. But listen, it looks like the season was kind of going to be a disappointing one at the start.
It was always tough to tell because of the 3 best teams, but
right.
yes.
And against those 3 best teams, listen, I mean, you lose in the first game of the season to Maryland by 4. You lose to North Carolina, who came in undefeated in their last, I think it was like 22 games, reigning champions. You're winning that game. Mm-hmm. You're winning that game well into the game and well into the second half, and then you lose by 4. You lose to Stanford by 2. Like, they were in those games. So it's almost like, okay, maybe this is predictable. Then you rip off a win against Loyola, Louisville, Cal, Virginia Tech, Northwestern. That was a huge win. Yale, you beat them by 1. Virginia, you beat them by 1. Albany by 2, And there was a couple games that you're kind of questioning, like, okay, why was that one so close? But going to be a big one.
Big one against Duke.
Number 18, Duke.
Duke, Notre Dame, Boston College. 3 tough contests for Syracuse to close out. Wrapping up shop here on Newhouse Afternoon. 9 more minutes with you. We'll come back. We'll touch on a bunch of pro sports before we get out of here until 4 p.m. All right. Up until then, though, quick break right now.
Thank you.
Questionable toss there.
Up until then, though, right now.
Perfect. I feel like we're a zoo animal every time we're here.
I know. It's really funny.
It's like a fish
They're like
bowl.
crawling around.
I know. And here's Syracuse students that are actually doing it. They're on the mic.
I know.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Are you going? Where are you going after this?
Home. Home.
I'm going home.
Where am I going to take you?
Home. Where's home?
Home. So funny. What we're referencing for anyone that's listening, in the corny Hallmark movies, when the main character at the end of the film is very emotional and decides to either break up or get back together with whatever it may be with said other corny main character, and at the end of that they jump in a cab and either on the verge of tears or on the verge of elation, they jump in the cab and the cab's like, "Why are you off to tonight?" And then they go home, and the cab driver just knows where it is. It's
No.
No. Yes, but the funny part is
The cab driver doesn't know.
no. The funny part, but that is a meme off of
Okay, yeah.
what like they usually do in the Hallmark movies.
But the funny meme
which is like
that the cab driver
but you have to explain it. So
Okay.
they usually just like home and they just know where it is.
right. That's
But then
the Hallmark movie.
The spin-off is home and the cab's like, where the is home?
Yeah.
And yeah.
Like they ruined the moment.
Right. He's like, just take me where my heart is. And the cab's like, I've had enough of you. All right.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
That's a quick wrap.
Oh, come on. I already rapped and you said that.
Yeah, you're right.
Thank you.
You're right. Home.
When are you off to Duke?
Tomorrow.
When are you?
Tomorrow.
Are we on the same flight?
That'd be fun.
It's like so weird.
What time are you? Like 11:50.
Probably something like that. I don't know. I think Alex just emailed it.
Hi. Yes. Yes.
Yosh.
Yes.
Alex says, let's see. Were you going with Kieran, right? What if we're at the same hotel? Oh, wait, but no, we're kind of going a different, like...
I mean, we've got to be at a different spot.
It's really not that far, though.
Yeah, I've never been, so no idea. All right,
It's
bro.
my first trip.
All right, bro. All right, bruh.
First Harwich Zoom meeting next week.
Really? Yep. That's cool.
Yep. How do I log into this?
It's gonna be a really quick vlog.
Yeah. Like,
We always do this.
Yeah, like really. I think that's normal though.
Yeah.
Perfect.
HughesSportsTalk.com. Tomorrow's broadcasting stars today. Broadcasting live from the campus of Syracuse University. This is Newhouse Afternoon.
Back here on Newhouse Afternoon with 3.5 more minutes with ya. Wrapping up shop. I'm Milo Hoffman. Geralba's here as well.
You better believe it.
Geralba is also here, and there's a lot going on this weekend. Drew, it's an exciting time in college basketball. Syracuse is making moves, but the Final Four.
I mean, I was like, where are you going there?
Imagine if Syracuse is in the Final Four this weekend. I mean,
Oh my gosh.
Oh my.
Oh, goodness.
Like, it would just be unbelievable. It would be unbelievable, and of course, like, so here's the thing: as a Jet fan,
I feel like a middle schooler at the end of the day, where it's just daydreaming about whatever, and wow, that just transported me to a different place where I'm like watching the Syracuse game, and like,
so I was gonna say, as a Jet fan,
goodness.
I look at the Super Bowl as like kind of like a holiday. Like, I don't associate rooting for the Super Bowl. Like, the Super Bowl happens,
Right.
and I associate it with watching with people, having a good time on a Sunday. You know,
I do.
Maybe
I do
you know,
too
the
for
halftime show.
For the Final Four, that's what I think of.
Yeah, for the Final Four, it's the same thing.
Right.
It's okay. This is happening, and I'm neutral every year.
Yeah.
Like, and I understand Syracuse made the Final
Sure.
Four, and over a decade ago, and obviously, wasn't as old for that one, but like, that's the situation.
As was everyone listening.
Right. Exactly.
No one was as old as when they were.
No, everyone, and people obviously know very well. In 2013 against Michigan, really tough. Actually, I actually cried when Syracuse didn't make the Final Four back then. And then in 2016, obviously, you make the run. But the Final Four this time around it's a very exciting, interesting Final Four. Quick takes. Who do you think is going to win the games, and who do you think is going to win the national championship?
UConn, Illinois is going to be a good one. They're going to go blow for blow there. I think UConn is the more experienced team, and ultimately I think UConn takes down Illinois despite, just overwhelming talent on that Fighting Illinois squad. I mean, there's so many different guys you can point to over there. But at the end of the day, I like Dan Hurley and everything he's building. And the other side,
He's building.
I think
he's
built. I guess at this point, he's just putting, what is on the top of a building, a steeple or whatever.
Spire?
Sure. He's building the very top.
Not sure it is.
And I'm going to go with Michigan, Yaxel Endenberg, all of those guys going to take down Arizona and then win the whole thing.
Yeah, I hate to agree with you, but I do think Michigan is the best team left. Arizona's dangerous. Obviously, was the top team in the country for most of the regular season, but I think Michigan's too much. If Illinois did they've already made a run. If they beat UConn, that would be an exciting storyline to follow. All right, that's about all the time we have here on Newhouse Afternoon. It's been a fun one. We'll be back next Thursday from 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock. For Drew Alba, I'm Milo Hoffman saying so long, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day.
This is Orange Nation.
He has an opportunity with all this excitement in the